Ladies, gentlemen, and haradrim of all ages, it's been a bit over a week since the last time we did a news update for Diablo 4, and that's because generally, well, the news has been quite light. That said, we've now reached a nice critical mass that I thought was pretty good for having a bit of a chat about the game the way that it is right now, some of the things that have been done to it recently, as well as some pretty spicy statements from the developers that are clearly attempting to build hype for the future, but I think the vast majority of us are skeptical until we actually see these changes in detail and see what we actually have coming ahead of us. So let's dive in first with the changes that were made to the game itself right now. A few days ago there was a hotfix to Diablo 4, and the main change within it was actually just an XP buff across the board really. Increased experience gain in World Tier 3 by 5% for killing monsters, and in World Tier 4 monster kill experience is increased by 15%, so it's actually a reasonable buff. Nothing too crazy, but it should bring it to a slightly more reasonable feeling to level up to 100, which is something that they've been aiming to actually fix. And I always like to see these changes attached to World Tier because it incentivizes the people who can get through capstone dungeons early to get through capstone dungeons early so they can explore more challenging content for their level. The thing is, relatively speaking, this isn't going to be a massive change, just a nice little bump, and I definitely find it a bit funny that this is something that's called a hotfix to the game, because hotfix directly says the word fix in the name, which implies that it was some sort of bug or mistake that experience gain was lower than this before. I just sort of found this funny personally, couldn't help but mention it. On top of this, they also fixed an exploit that some people were using with Seeds of Hatred to get far more than intended in very short periods of time. Then past that, we've got quite a number of tweets from the developers, and the vast majority of these are related to Season 2 and information about it. First up, we had someone ask if there was any news about the next Campfire chat stream, and Adam Fletcher, the Global Community Development Director for the Diablo franchise as a whole, responds saying that it will be closer to Season 2, and there will be a dev update livestream first for more of a deep dive into Season 2 and what will be happening, with the Campfire chat being more for talking with the community once we've seen what's going to change and what will be a part of Season 2. They have specifically said here though that there are too many things for a singular stream to cover, which implies that they either are making a lot of class changes and gameplay changes in general, or that Season 2 is much bigger than we have been led to believe up to this point. After that, we had it confirmed by Rod Ferguson, the GM of all things Diablo, that there will in fact actually be 2 developer update streams, and the big thing here is that they will both be dev update streams in title, not one dev update and one campfire, which means that they think both streams will be fully relevant information that needs to be delivered in a planned and proper way, with things like informational slides or things like that. To that tweet, Adam Fletcher actually then responded saying that he also expects both streams to be around 2 hours long. That is nuts! Until now, every stream they have done so far has capped out at about 90 minutes, with the last 30 minutes of which being a question and answer section every time, and that includes the developer update stream. So even if we assume that it's 30 minutes Q&A at the end of each of these, that is still an estimate of 180 minutes of pure content, or 3 hours of important information theoretically presented with actual graphics as well, and such if the recent streams are anything to go by. That's 3 times the amount that we got for Season 1, so whether the information is big or not, whether it fixes the game enough or not, expect there to be a lot of information being relayed to us and related to it. And hey, communication is always a good thing, so I am at least willing to watch these myself and see how it actually looks. Then as for more estimates as to what all of this means, we have even more tweets from another developer being Adam Jackson, the lead class designer for Diablo 4. First saying that 2 streams is no exaggeration, they have been really busy working on a whole lot of stuff for Season 2, and he's quite excited for everyone to see what they've done. Nothing really new here as far as concept though, but it's his response to another tweet here that we actually get a bit more of a sense of scale. Here Adam Jackson specifically says imagine something like 1.1.1, but orders of magnitude more. 1.1.1 was a pretty good patch, it was pretty sizable. It didn't fix the massive mess that 1.1 was, but it did do really good things for us. If we have a patch that is that level of quality, meaning that the things in it are all good for us and for the game, but the size of it is just ridiculously multiple times bigger, I'm definitely interested to hear that out at the very least. And of course, when this does happen, I will relay all the important information to you guys in, well, much less than 3 hours, so look out for that too. The big thing with all of this then is, well, until we know what is actually in the massive patch coming with Season 2, we should definitely not get properly excited for it. We have no idea what will actually be involved in it, and a big number of changes does not instantly translate to being good changes, but it tells us that the developers are actually trying, at the very least, for 2 separate 2-hour streams to be needed to go over the major changes that are coming with the patch in Season 2 itself. They have absolutely been quite busy adjusting stuff and testing things, of course, and most most importantly, it tells us one of two things are going on. One, they've chosen to tell us even the slightest, tiniest little changes so that there is no chance of backlash about communication. It's like, what? We told you literally everything, and it will just drive into the nittiest grittiest that there is within that time frame. Or option number two, they're actually making so many meaningful changes that it will take that full amount of time to get into the major stuff properly. And of course, I really am hoping that it is option two there, but not forgetting that option one is entirely a possibility. It's entirely possible that's what we get. The big thing here though is that they are at least showing commitment for the moment. The game right now, 2 months into season 1, is like a ghost town. I'd be surprised if 5% of the old player base is still actively playing right now, and yet they are working on so many changes that they have this much to say about it, even though the player base has shrunk this much in the low tide of the season. Who knows how long this commitment will last from the developers, who knows what it will actually bring as far as what the changes are as well, but the fact that the effort is being put in means at least something, right? All things said and done, excited is definitely the wrong word. I am, I guess, interested in seeing where all of this ends up, how it turns out, because they are going out of their way to big up all these changes on this game, to big up what Season 2 will be, to say that they are excited about what is going on, and they think that we will be too, and about how many big, meaningful changes are coming to the game very soon. If they are accurately labeling what we get, and it really is that good and that much, then we know what to expect when they say similar things in the future. If it turns out to be a failure, if it changes nothing, if Season 2 just looks like a slightly beefier but otherwise exactly same Season 1, then yeah, it's pretty much over as far as their social presence for the game, as far as their ability to draw in eyes when changes are made. If you make the kind of claims that they are publicly making right now, as publicly as they are, you have to follow up on it and you have to deliver, because if you don't, then no one will ever take your word on these kinds of things ever again. Basically what I'm saying is while Diablo 4 is in a really rough position as is right at this moment, Season 2 is a really big make or break point for them even then. If they make big enough, good enough, just notable changes, they could bring a good chunk of the player base back, at least for a little bit. And if they can do that for Season 2, that means they could probably do it for Season 3 and so on if they wanted to. If, however, Season 2 happens, especially with them hyping it up, and the result is barely anyone actually returns to the game, they don't think it's worth it for the new season, then it's just basically done for the game. Nothing else to be said or to be done. Trust would just be broken forever with the vast majority of the player base that did originally exist for this game. And that's just about it then, everyone. An update for those of you who are still actively playing Diablo 4, or even for those of you who quit a while ago but want to see if anything actively gets better with the game over time. Promises of size have been made here, and exclamations of quality have also been made. According to various developers at this point, Season 2 and the patch that will be going with it will be the best thing since sliced bread, at least as far as Diablo 4 goes, and who doesn't love a good slice of bread? We still probably won't even know the dates of when these streams will be for at least another week, maybe even 2 if they really push it, but they have committed to having 2 separate streams around 2 hours long each. Even if we assume a hefty question and answer section in each of these, that is still an absurd amount of time left to talk about the changes that are coming in the season. I will wait to pass my own judgment until I see these streams so that they at least have gotten my attention enough to make me say that, but we'll see what the future holds as far as actually continuing to play the game, you know? I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown of the last few days of news from the developers about Diablo 4 and its incoming future. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.